Your upcoming project, Honey, the Black Lotus meets the Killa Bees, puts an R&B spin on classic Wu-Tang records. Can you tell us how this idea came to life and what inspired you to reinterpret Wu-Tang's music in this way?
The pandemic. Well, actually, I think it really started from when I did my first project, Ready to Fly. I was interpolating a lot of hip hop records on the first project, and one of them was a Method Man record. And shortly after I had done Ready to Fly, I was going to do another project that was kind of like that, but it ended up being a full album.
Mhm.
So around the pandemic, I started to go back to records that I had actually done years ago that were hip hop interpolated, and majority of them happened to be Wu Tang records, and I love Wu Tang.
Mhm.
I'm like a genuine hip hop fan as a rapper before anything else, and like, it was just something for me to do during the pandemic. I just wanted to be creative and wanted to fall in love with music again. I think, obviously a lot of things got really dark and people couldn't go anywhere, and I wanted to just be creative. So
Mhm.
my partner and I were just messing around and just started vibing, and we started coming up with these ideas, and it ended up becoming an album in a very short span of time that I was ready to just put on SoundCloud.
Yeah.
And a friend of mine who's actually a really dope producer, Nitty. He's worked with Biggie Smalls and Big Pun, and like, we were just talking about it. He was like, "Oh, well, send me the project," and I sent it to him, and he sent it to somebody he knew who happened to be on tour with Wu and DJ Scratch, and DJ Scratch played it for the RZA.
Wow.
And he called me a few months later and was just like, "Are we doing this?" And I said, "Hell yeah."
Yeah.
So, it was never anything that I felt like I'm doing this to just for any reason. I just wanted to do something that was creative and fun, and maybe somebody else who loves hip hop as much as I did would enjoy this, because it's kind of like a female interpolation of songs, in a different way.
Mm.
So that was really just my mindset for it.
You use the word interpolation, and
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who might be just be getting into the game who might not understand what that is and how that sort of is something that's used to spark creativity. Can you kind of like explain a little bit what that is?
Yeah. So the interpolation is really, you find a piece of music, and sometimes it's sampling this song and making it something new, or sometimes it's taking this song and making it your version of that song. So some of these songs are sampled or samples the Wu-Tang songs, and some of these songs are actually my standpoint on what these records are. Like, for example, there's a record on the album called Thug Cry, which to me was a response to Impossible off the Wu-Tang Forever album. So there is certain ways that we went about this project, where it was like, this is how y'all inspired me, this is what grew from that. So that's why it's Black Lotus means to kill the bees.
Gotcha. So, yeah, and thank you for explaining that. On one of the records, I did hear the throwback of the classic Mary J part, "You're All I Need," and you talk about sort of like the reinterpolation of that. So when
Yeah.
you heard that, that being such a monumental, melodic, lyrical moment from back in the day, where were you at
Mhm.
in terms of your headspace? Like, okay, I'm gonna use this part and like create something new from that, but I want to integrate my own life and my own experiences, my own perspectives into this. How did you flip it?
Well, that song is Real Talk. It was actually the first song that set it off for the whole project. But for me, the first time I ever saw the Method Man and Mary record, that was like the hardest love song. Like, it
Mm,
doesn't get any harder than that as a love song. It doesn't really feel like it, but it really is. And for me, it was kind of like, okay, I really want to do what would have been the female response, even though, Mary did sing her parts and things like that. If this was, a response, what would it be? What would this woman say? would her version of it be? And I think for me, that was kind of like, okay, I want to do something that is a hard love song. You know, sometimes love songs are very sweet and soft, and I'm like, nah, it needs
Yeah.
to hit. So that was kind of my mindset walking into doing Real Talk, which drops on Friday.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, that was really my mindset when it came down to it. I think the approach of the original was how I wanted to keep the approach of my version of it. You know,
gotcha.
so yeah.
Did you feel any pressure to do
Oh God, yes.
the original's justice? I mean, I could just imagine you like the
Oh
moment
God.
before like RZA hears it or something like that. Were you nervous?
I mean, yes, because in my mind, this was literally, I was just going to do this for my own mental sanity, just to be like, I want to just make something. I love Wu. Let me create something. And then when it got into the RZA's hands, it then became like, oh snap, is he going to yell at me? Is he going to hate this? Like, I didn't know. And he was so kind when he called me, and it was just, it made me realize that like I wasn't crazy, but
Mm,
also he really saw what I was trying to do, and also understood that like you guys really inspired a generation of people, and
mm,
you're seeing this firsthand. Like, it wasn't just something where I just threw a bunch of songs together. Like, we took our time, and I think he understood that and appreciated it, and knew that it needed a, more ears. And I totally appreciate 36 Chambers for wanting to put that to the forefront, and not me just put it on SoundCloud and, and leave
mm,
it there. But yeah, definitely
absolutely.
pressure. I think once he heard the first few records, I was more confident to send him the rest you
Mm.
know